Good morning, everyone. It's good to be back this year. Michael and I have been working on this problem for about a year now, so introducing AI coding tool, our company 1KOMMA5. And maybe before I get started, who in this room is involved in introducing or managing AI coding tools for their organization? Okay, quite a lot. Who of you are still skeptic that this will eventually lead to a net benefit for your organization? And I think this is warranted, right? So let me start with a quote. And I think this is a quote that that's being said about AI a lot by different practitioners in different fields. But where this quote is coming from is from software engineering organizations. So companies, I think there was a tipping point last year where companies were really about you need to use AI or you are in trouble. Now, in what I think has been a spectacular turn of events, now CEOs and technical leadership all around the globe are turning back a little bit and saying, okay, I think we've created a monster, time to bring more mindfulness to this. I think my favorite post one is this one, Uber, that burned through their entire AI budget only in April. So we've been on this journey for a year now, and what we today want to bring back to the community and share is what we learned. What is different in our case is that at 1KOMMA5, every engineer and every product manager is tasked to work economically and frugally, so an all-out approach was always out of the question. And we were repeatedly asked to prove that this actually brings a benefit, and which I can already spoiler was really hard to actually put numbers to. So what you will learn today is how we did it and our journey and what we learned doing so. And please prepare for more non-technical talk. I think around all the technical stuff around AI, there will be enough talks today and tomorrow. So who are we? We are Michael, platform engineer, and Klaus, head of product at 1KOMMA5. 1KOMMA5 is a company that serves around 200,000 households with renewable energy all around the globe. And we use software to optimize energy prices for our customers, so they always get the cheapest clean energy that they can get. So handing over to you, Michael. How did all of this start?
Great question, Klaus. How did this all start, right? So we didn't just drop in AI in the company and let it run loose. It was a journey, and I want to take you on this journey we went through. And all of this started about 1 year ago with Shadow IT. Who doesn't love Shadow IT, right? But when you start to look closer, you might find things that interest you, that surprise you. And that's what we did. We didn't ignore it and rant about it. We embraced it and actually looked into what does it mean and how are our engineers actually using AI. At that point of time, so September 25, a bit earlier even, we had GitHub Copilot and the whole organization rolled out as our standard AI tool to use. But we knew, based on conversations, user interviews, that people were using much more than just Copilot. So we wanted to know the truth. So we just asked them honestly and said, you can't make anything wrong here. Please tell us what you're using. We won't kick you out of the door for using Shadow IT. And so we got some numbers. And those were quite interesting. And how those numbers changed will Klaus reveal later. So I won't now. And then from this group of people where we knew they're not on the standard path, they're on the already a bit ahead of the curve path, we founded a community of practice. And like with any change, a community of practice helps you get the frontier, the early adopters in a room and together shape where you're going. That's exactly what we did.
And by the way, by community of practice, we mean what you probably all know as chapters.
Yeah, thanks, Klaus. And then we wanted to see, okay, how can we use this and provide it in the organization, rooted in this community of practice. And first we decided on a tool there. And then we chose Cursor for this, but you of course, like any tool is good, right? So Codex, Cursor, Claude, doesn't matter really, but we found that in our community of practice, we had Claude users, we had GPT Codex users, we had Cursor users. And we just chose Cursor because in the community we decided that it's the tool that helps us to keep up with the latest models that come out, right? With any other tool, you're bound to the open and to the provider. With Cursor, you always get the newest models, and models nowadays change like every week, so that's good. And then we talked to Cursor and asked him, we want to do a trial. And Cursor said, okay, yeah, sure. Whole organization, unlimited tokens, everyone, let's go. We said, no. Wait a second here. And we wanted to deliberately restrict this to a small pool of people. Just as a reminder, this was November 25. This was before the Opus 4.5 moment, where everyone then suddenly realized, hey, AI is the way forward, right? This was unsure. There was a lot of uncertainty in the organization, in the whole AI space. Is this really already the way to go with development? And we wanted to contain that, right? We didn't want to spread a wildfire by unleashing AI in the whole organization without truly knowing, is it good? Is it really helping us? So we restricted it to our community of practice and ran a small trial with weekly check-ins for 4 weeks. We did weekly check-ins with them. How's it going? Do you need anything? Did some like tips and practices. We measured it, really important. We used DORA metrics and GitHub statistics here, so pulled in lots of objective metrics and really tried to measure anything that we could, pretty much, because we didn't know what we need to measure going into this. It was so uncertain what metrics turn out to be the ones that truly prove that AI is doing a positive impact or a negative impact. And what we did 3 surveys. And I will do a bit of a deep dive on this in a few minutes when I talk about our large rollout. And then a few months later, some paperwork in February 25 after an Opus drop, we actually said, okay, we saw signals from this early trial, this is working. We saw uprise in the metrics, and Klaus will dive deep into this in a few minutes. And we saw that the surveys, it proved useful. So we wanted to do a full organization-wide Cursor trial. And we did that for 30 days in February. But now, okay, we thought, okay, we can't just drop it in there, right? So we can't just drop Cursor in, go day 1, then come back 30 days later and see what happened. We want to closely accompany everyone. So we pulled out a tip of the day every single day of these 30 days. We messaged a tip of the day in Slack where we slowly ramped up the knowledge, a whole organization. Started with simple things like, okay, what's a plan mode? How do I use the ask mode? What are the different modes in Cursor? How do I create a plan? How do I go about agentic development? We also did weekly office hours where we did Q&As, where everyone could come, bring their questions, was super useful. And we organized with Cursor together true deep dives on the topics. I can highly recommend this. And this is really important here. Have the people share their wins publicly. Have them write in a public channel what worked for them. How much time did they save? What really helped them about using AI? Because this will help tremendously push this towards an organization to secure the budget, but also help others to inspire to do the same thing. Right? You can learn from each other there. And we also opted to include non-engineers, so we asked designers, product managers to join along, which is a super great experience. And like I said, collected a ton of metrics, and Klaus will say more about this, and unlimited tokens. Who doesn't love unlimited tokens? And Opus 4.6, max ultra mode, go. Burn the 30,000 on Cursor's budget? No. we did what's counterintuitive. We actually, in the last week of the trial, limited the budget to, I think it was $30 for a whole week, because we wanted to see how does it work in true constraints. Because in reality, you can't create a monster. You can't let everyone just burn tokens on the company budget. So we deliberately limited that. Then we did 3 surveys, one at the start, one in the middle, one in the end, where we measured everything. And how do you get people to fill out 3 surveys? Well, you don't let them in until they filled out the first one, and you give them back their unlimited tokens at the end when you fill out the final one. And the one in the middle was a check-in, which had a small dip because we didn't have anything we could give them there, but yeah. And we asked really broad questions about AI usage, productivity, satisfaction, qualitative feedback. There's some things on there. And the one thing I want to highlight is the use cases with time savings. This is what really brought us across the finish line for us at the end. We asked users to really write down the projects plus their real time savings they had without AI, with AI. And with that, you cannot improve what you cannot measure, right, Klaus? But what exactly did we measure, and what was the outcome?
So transparency is a key thing, and maybe let me start with a reveal. So how did this actually evolve? Right, we asked people, be honest, come on, and tell us what all the shadow IT tooling that you're using. And then we introduced a central tooling that had a great user experience, and we were really surprised to see that people voluntarily moved over to the central tooling. We still have some shadow IT, we still have it today. I think it's hard to tame it forever and ever, but I think the central realization is that you can tame shadow IT if you give the users a great offering. And now, once you have a great offering, you also get a lot of transparency. But maybe let me dive into more insights into some statistics. So as Michael said, some things you can measure quantitatively, other things you can only measure qualitatively. So we also asked users in the surveys, hey, tell us, how did you use AI and what did it improve? And of course we can talk about if such a list is fruitful in judging whether or not AI brings a benefit to the company, but it brings transparency on how it is used and how people see improvements in the daily work. And what we could see is that for different implementations and features and milestones that people did experience a certain amount of time and what they needed to implement. Of course, this is not the full picture, right? It is during the implementation, not after implementation. AI has a lot of side effects on this. But in any case, I think a recommendation we would give is ask users how are you using this and where does it bring benefit. But we also ask, among many, many things, what are you worried about with this AI thing? And these are the top worries that people told us, right? Code quality and code-based degradation. I think this is still an unsolved problem. Then people are also still worried about skill atrophy. Will I still remain a good engineer if I put my tasks into a chat window every day? And also environmental impact was a big issue, and that legacy processes are not adopting fast enough. And I think we all can see this in the room, that we now have AI, but a lot of these processes are still the way they used to be. And why I'm telling this is, it's also important to understand what the worries are inside the organization. Because maybe you cannot solve all of them, but you can at least show that you are aware of them. This gives the organization a better feeling per se. Now, I think another takeaway here is that much of the impact of AI is qualitative, not quantitative. This means some metrics will maybe not improve, or it's maybe not possible to operationalize it. This means measure an impact, but you have to try and find it in the qualitative data. But of course, we have numbers too, and this is basically, going back a year, how much AI coding percentage we have at 1KOMMA5, and this starts with the small POC with cursor. We can see it evolve over time, and now we are at around 85%. And another big insight is that once you centralize this tooling, you get this kind of data. So, which I think is really, really beneficial, having the transparency, what's going on with AI coding tools. Now, a short one on metrics. We think we measured 50 metrics or more, and we found it, especially I found it extremely difficult to measure this positive impact that AI seemingly has on the software engineering performance. I think it was really, really difficult. Especially DORA metrics often didn't reveal anything. In my opinion, let's say, for example, change failure rate or mean time to recover, depending on how you measure it. These are lagging metrics. I have a change, and the actual impact will come much later. So I found it really tough to correlate it to the impact of AI. You can see the stuff that's in gray didn't work well for us to show whether or not AI is moving the needle in a positive or negative way. What's white is like, was okay-ish, right? There was some signal in there. But I think my favorite metric was the one on the upper right-hand corner, coding time. This is how long does it take from the first commit to the pull request being open. This is what we dub coding time. And here we could really see the needle move. Just shortly, you can see it on the right-hand side, there we saw a 70% drop in time. Another interesting metric I just want to quickly highlight is ticket to commit time. This is how long does it take from a ticket, linear or Jira, to being set into progress until that first commit arrives. You can think about maybe, the digestion time of a ticket. But not everything is gold, right? When we looked at the whole software delivery lifecycle, this excludes deployment data, and we could see that not everything did improve. Some things even got worse. I think maybe that's clear, it's obvious, but review time and merge time, they increased. This links to our users' worries, right? More PRs, more code to review, and we could see it in the data that this actually worsened. So I think, and this is something that I really want to bring back home today, is that with AI, everything that works well in your organization will work better. But everything that doesn't work so well today will be amplified and shamelessly amplified in a way it will be made really, really transparent where your bottlenecks are in the organization. Now, a word on transparency, a word on costs, because we said, right, don't create a monster. And I think to manage costs, you need 3 ingredients: education, transparency, and accountability. The first thing is we tell users all the time how much budget they are spending. So this is a Slack message that comes in every $100 that are being spent. When you are planning a feature, we have a forced global rule that estimates how much implementing this feature will cost depending on your model. So getting it in the face of the user all the time. And the last thing is accountability. I am accountable for the budget that I spent, and we have an internal self-service tooling that prompts users to bump their budget every time they exceed it and give a short reason. And this is meant to reflect on it, because we had people burn through their monthly budget in a week before, and this helps really get the users have a feeling about how much AI costs they are spending. So to recap our learnings, the impact itself of introducing AI coding tooling is admittedly really hard to quantify. The other thing is that quantitative data doesn't paint the full picture. Qualitative data, so surveys, for example, are really crucial to get this whole overarching picture. Then, really important, introducing the tool is maybe 1% of the work. Just giving the tool doesn't do much for your organization. 99% of the work is change management. And so for everyone involved in this room, introducing the tooling, this is also what we want to bring home, is that we have a responsibility here to make it work. And key learning from our end is that users should really be made cost conscious from day one, from the POC on. Don't let them start with the wrong expectations, but rather tell them this is something, a finite resource that we have. And the final thing is a community of practice or a chapter for introducing AI coding tool has worked great for us, sharing the learnings, improving best practices all across the teams, but it will only get you so far. At a point in time, and this is where we are at right now, we realized you need a dedicated team in the organization to drive this change, to really get the most out of it. Yeah, Michael. So
Yeah.
what's next?
The dedicated team, me being part of it, but also others around the company, right? So we founded the AI task force. It is really fresh. We just started last week on Monday, and it's a team of interdisciplinary product engineers, but also platform engineers, really coming together and seeing how we can leverage AI in the company and move towards that new way of developing software together. And driving AI maturity, because like Klaus said, it's 1% of the work is just introducing the tool, and we just got started. We have so much ahead of us. Even though we have over 80% usage of it, there is such a huge difference in the quality of someone using AI and someone using AI. And that has to be accompanied for and really brought into the whole company. And I firmly believe that this is our job as platform engineers, to build the platform and the user experience or developer experience that AI, using it good with a high quality, just feels natural and is easy. And here to measure this, we are using backstage scorecards, actually. So we're using backstage soundcheck to roll out different scorecards, measuring in the repositories the AI usage. Is there agents MD? Have they set up cloud agents? And so on. So all of these different things you can relatively easily measure. And, of course, building the AI software delivery cycle and moving towards something where I don't know what's coming, but it is coming, and we need to be ahead of the curve. That's what the AI task force is mainly about. And this also includes changing your platform and all of the processes that you're now serving agents as users. It doesn't help if something is not accessible by agents and it's a clicks ops process somewhere. You need to make it accessible for agents. They should be seen as users of your platform. And for this, we found really great use in the Backstage MCP, because it's one central MCP where you can connect many other MCP servers on top. You can build custom actions around it. And it really helps in driving this forward, exposing your whole metadata of the organization, where is what repositories and so on. Can highly recommend looking into this. And I can also highly recommend to don't create a monster. Thank you.